Welcome to the Inner Alchemy Podcast, a journey inward into the patterns, shadows, and truths that shape the way we love, heal, and rise. Beneath the ashes, a single ember waits, and here, together, we learn how to breathe it back into flame. Welcome to the very first episode of my new podcast, The Inner Alchemy. This podcast is something I've been working on for a long time, even before I knew I was working on it. And I'm excited to share it with you. And if you're here, you're probably someone who feels very deeply and someone who's been searching for meaning inside instead of numbing. And that's great. And you're probably someone who's ready to stop running from themselves and start transforming from within. And that is the very reason why I'm doing this podcast. Now, this very first episode, it's just going to be me. I'm not going to have any guests, but in all of the future episodes, I do intend to have lots and lots and lots and lots of people, men and women, who come to share their story, their journey, everything that brought them to today, or at least whatever they're comfortable sharing. So, if any of that fits you, this podcast is for you, and that's what we're here for. Now, as I said before, my name is Phoenix Armendariz. That's not my real name, but it's what I go by. My real name is Bradley, and I often say that's my slave name because that's the name I have to use on all my legal documents. That's the name that's on my license. It's the name, whatever. But I go by Phoenix, and I can get into why probably in this podcast, but maybe in another one when I'm talking about where I came from and all that I've been through in my own journey. Right now, I'm a licensed professional counselor. I haven't always been. I've been a school teacher. I'm a Marine. I was in law enforcement for a couple of years. Matter of fact, I was military police in the Marine Corps. And then I was civilian law enforcement for a couple of years, just really found that it wasn't for me. And so when I finished my undergrad, I became a school teacher. And I taught fourth grade math for like 6-7 years. And I really enjoyed that. But after the first time I ever went to therapy myself and experienced that, that's what I wanted to be. That's what I wanted to do. And so I went to grad school, and here I am. Now, in that realm, I'm certified in integrative somatic trauma therapy, and I'm certified in somatic EMDR, and I'm also a certified psychedelic-assisted psychotherapist. Now, I do ketamine-assisted psychotherapy right here in my office, and it's been a wonderful thing to offer and a wonderful thing to experience for myself and all of the clients that I've worked with. I'm a wellness and transformation coach. And in that, there's a quote by Ram Dass that really stuck with me. It says that within each of us, it's as if there once was a fire. But for some of us, that fire has turned to ashes. But if you dig in those ashes, you find one ember and you blow on it and it gets brighter. And from that ember, you rebuild the fire. And that quote really stuck out to me because that's essentially what I do for a living. That's what I do. I feel like it's my purpose for being here. It's not only to find my own ember and blow on it and rebuild that fire over and over and over again, but it's also to help others find their embers and blow on their embers and rebuild their fires. And so that's what I do for a living. So I'm not just a therapist or just a coach or just anything. Like, it's me. It's my presence. It's my energy. It's what I love. It's what I'm passionate about. And that's what this podcast is for, to expand the reach from just one-on-one client sessions or the retreats that I do to whoever wants to see, whoever wants to view this, and may it spark something in them that makes them start looking for their embers so that they can blow it back into a fire. On that note, some of the other things that I do. So my practice is, one-on-one counseling, group counseling, marriage counseling, couples counseling. I do just about every kind of counseling there is. I do have, I would say, a more Jungian approach. I think the shadow work is a very important part of therapy, period, as well as trauma work. But I'm a man who carries a lot of feminine energy in my heart. And I wasn't always able to say that. There's a large part of my life where I wouldn't even dream of myself being feminine in any sort of way because masculinity was the only way to go. And I had to prove to the world that I was masculine enough to be a man, to be man enough and all of that. But I'm someone who's sat across from thousands of people in pain, in confusion, in breakthroughs, and witnessed the moment that something inside them finally clicked. And that is what I'm passionate about. There's nothing like it. And so above all, I'm someone who believes that every human carries an ember inside them. Some bright, some buried, some forgotten. And some of the other offerings that I do, I avoided calling it a retreat at first because it's like you go to a retreat in your head, you go to a retreat to like feel good or like, get a massage or do yoga, something like that. And at these retreats, we do shadow work and we do breath work and meditation and ice baths and sweat lodges. And it's not always comfortable. I don't know if you've ever been in an ice bath before, but it is definitely not comfortable, at first at least. You might get to a point where it is, but at first it sucks. It's terrible. But you get in that ice bath and your mind goes 100 miles an hour telling you, what the fuck are you doing? Get out of there. This is stupid. Why are you in here? And then your body goes into fight or flight and you start freaking out. But if you can find that breath, if you can find that moment where you're like, I'm okay, I'm safe, I'm choosing to be here, then you've conquered it. And that's what the purpose of everything that we do at the retreat is. For you to find that place where you're like, no, I'm okay, I'm safe. Because that same fight or flight response that you feel when you get in an ice bath, it's anxiety. It's the thing that so many people are walking around with and they don't understand it. And they don't know why they're feeling that way. And maybe it's because of trauma. Maybe it's because the news. Maybe it's because they watch the news way too fucking much. But it doesn't matter. It's still, if you're aware of that feeling, if you learn to notice it when it comes up and you learn to be mindful about it and let it be there, but reassure yourself you're okay and you're safe, you win. But these retreats are called the Sacred Ember. It's so powerful. And if you've never been in a sweat lodge before, the sweat lodges we don't follow any specific tradition, but we refer to the sweat lodge as the womb of rebirth, because the whole idea behind these is that rebirth is what we go through countless times throughout our life. You've got the process of death, something in your life that isn't serving you, it has to die. And then you've got the process of the ashes after the death and not really knowing where you are, who you are, what you're doing. It's the cocoon. And then you've got the rebirth. And that's where you're reborn into something new, something that just feels way better than it did before. And you realize, if you really think about it, how many times have you done that throughout your life? How many times have you had to let something die? How many times have you had to let yourself die, the old self, and move into something new? That's what we do here. That's what we're going to do on this podcast. We're going to hear stories of rebirth from all walks of life so that you know you're not alone. And you know there's other people out there that are dying to themselves every day and rebirthing themselves. And that's where strength grows. That's where healing happens. So this podcast is, as well as the retreats. I mean, honestly, the way I've set up the retreats so far is it doesn't cost anything to go. We have recommended contributions, and anyone that can contribute is more than welcome to at any amount, but it doesn't cost anything. And so there's plenty of people that can't come and sit with me in an hour session every week or every other week or monthly because they can't afford it, they don't have time, they work, whatever the case is. And so these events happen on Saturdays. And that is the very purpose of this podcast too, is it's widening the circle so that those who can't find help in one way or another have multiple ways that they can. And they don't all have to cost money. And they don't all have to take up so much time or be at a specific time or whatever it is. And also, not everyone's ready to dive all the way into their shadows. Matter of fact, most people are afraid of them. most people, if you're like, hey man, that's the shadow of control. Like the reason that you can't let your wife drive and you sit in the passenger seat is because you have to be in control. It freaks you out otherwise. Like, what's that about? Where'd that come from? And no, I just like to drive and I'm the man and I should drive. Okay. All right, buddy. So this Inner Alchemy podcast is going to be a mix of raw conversations, deep introspection, teachings. Man, I got to be honest with you. This is freaking weird. I've never just had a conversation with myself on video, and not had somebody else that I'm bouncing questions off of or talking to. And it's weird, but I like it. I'm here for it. And I'm trying to catch my breath throughout this whole thing because I'm nervous and I'm probably sweating. Yeah, I'm sweating, but I'm here. And I'm doing it because I don't care. And there's nothing that's going to scare me out of doing this because it's freaking exactly what I'm passionate about. And so here I am. Anyway, the podcast is going to be a mix of raw conversations, deep introspection, teachings, stories from my own journey. There's a lot of them. I'm sure everyone has a lot of stories. And everyone probably thinks their stories are the best ones, but so do I. I got some pretty good ones. And transmissions inspired by the contemplations. Now, the contemplations piece. If you've never heard of something called gene keys, I highly encourage you to look into it. And you may not understand it at first. I mean, hell, I'm a year into it, and I still don't fully understand the gene keys, how they work, or even how they tend to be so accurate based on nothing but your date of birth, place of birth, and time of birth. That blows my mind. But they're accurate. And it's like the gene keys to me have become this roadmap to shadow work where with each gene key that I look into, it's like, take the shadow of intolerance, for example. And I've used this before as an example, but because it's real to me. I didn't realize how intolerant I was until I read about the shadow of intolerance and sat there and was like, whoa, this is me. Like, and it's not intolerance like hating LGBTQ. I mean, that is a form of intolerance, don't get me wrong, or being racist or, but it's like day-to-day things, like being intolerant of somebody who drives too slow. And what does that do in your body when you feel that intolerance come up? You get frustrated. You get like, oh, I don't like this person. They're going fucking slow and blah, blah, blah. And like that affects your emotional body. That affects your mood. It affects your whole day. And you're doing it multiple times throughout the day. I was doing that. And then I was wondering, why am I irritable all the time? Why do I always feel like shit? Why am I always grumpy? It's because I was living in the shadow of intolerance. And when you move out of the shadow of intolerance, you learn to understand. Because the gift in that specific gene key is understanding. And it's like, oh, wow, I'm intolerant. Right now I'm feeling intolerance because my wife is doing this thing or my kid is doing this thing. Well, instead of reacting to that, instead of letting it take over and you just being like, oh, I'm grumpy now because they did that, you feel that feeling in your body and you ask where it's coming from. Why am I intolerant right now? Why does it bother me so bad when my kid runs around the house? They're 3. They're playing. They're having a good time. Why does that bother me so bad? That's intolerance. And when you seek to understand, and I mean, in that situation, it's like, well, I understand that they're a 3-year-old, and that's what 3-year-olds do. They run around, act like little crazy people, and that's okay. But you seek to understand, and when that understanding takes over, the intolerance melts away. And then you feel so much better. Your day goes better. You're happier. And then in Gene Keys, they have this thing called the Siddhi or Siddhi. And by my understanding, the Siddhi is like the highest expression of that specific gene. And in that gene, if I remember correctly, it's Gene Key 4. It goes from intolerance to understanding to forgiveness. And one of the most profound things I've ever heard is that forgiveness is the realization that nothing's personal. Your kid running around the house, not personal. The dude that cuts you off, not personal. That guy driving 35 and a 50, not personal. Nothing's personal. But the minute that we take it personally, that's when it takes away our freedom. It takes away our joy. And that's what the purpose of shadow work is for. To see clearly all of the things that are taking away your joy. They're called shadows. Shadows, from a Jungian perspective, are the things that we hide, repress, and deny. And we're going to be talking a lot about that in this podcast. In fact, I fully intend on addressing all 64 shadows in the Gene Keys program, or whatever you want to call it. And I started talking about these because I said the word contemplations. And what I've been working on is a series of contemplations called Letters to Myself. And each one is about 20 minutes long. And in Letters to Myself, we go through the shadow, the gift, the city, and then there's a 5-minute integration piece at the very end of it. And as you listen to these contemplations, it's like you can feel the darkness of the shadow, the heaviness, and then you can feel the relief of the gift and the ecstasy of the city. And then the integration is like, how do I apply this? How do I make it happen? How do I make it work for me? And that's what the purpose of these are. And so far I've recorded 26 of them. I intend on recording one for each of the 64 genes. But that's another thing that it's kind of like this podcast, the contemplations, the Sacred Ember retreats, and my practice, coaching, counseling, all of it. It's all working together to be like one giant offering that's just pouring from my heart and my soul into the world. And it's, if it helps one person, it's succeeded, and it's helping me. So that's enough. And so you could really say that I'm doing all of this for me. How much do you do for you? So there's one thing that I really, really wanted to just drive home in this first episode. And I feel like this first episode is all over the place right now. And, thank God for editing, because I'm pretty sure I'll edit a lot of it out, but maybe I won't. I don't know. But in this first episode, there's something that at the end of the day, if I was to think, this is what I want every single person that interacts with me to walk away with, there's something that I found. And I think I can summarize that. Now, I'm going to read it because it's somewhat lengthy, and I don't like to memorize things, especially when you got things like ChatGPT and stuff like that anymore. What's the point? I'm going to read this to you, and at first, it may not make sense, and that's completely fine. But if you've found any part of anything I've said today interesting, follow it. Follow that feeling in your body, in your gut that says, let's look into this. And even though this may not make sense completely today, I promise you, if you try, it will, whether it's a week from now or 10 years from now. But the work doesn't happen overnight. You work at it. I'm 7 years into my journey. 7 years ago, I was freshly divorced, leaving the church, and an alcoholic. And today, I'm none of those things. I left the church, but not an alcoholic and not freshly divorced. I'm actually very, very happily married to my wife, Raina, and she's just the greatest thing that I could ever have imagined having at this point in my life. And she encourages me. We got another podcast we're working on. It's called The Sacred 2. So you'll get to see a little bit of her and I and our banter and our love for each other and all the things too, if you check that out. All right, so I'm going to read this. And I don't have a title for it. It's just, I guess if you could, like I said, if this is the thing that if I could get every person that I interact with to walk away with, that's enough for me. And it's, if you can understand this and apply it, your life will get tremendously better on its, it just will. Okay. So listen, you've been lied to about manifestation. The universe isn't ignoring you. It's just waiting for you to get the fuck out of the way. Act on what lights you up. Act on your deepest passion in every moment of every day. Every time you can, every moment you can, with everything you've got. Take it as far as it wants to go until it naturally stops. And when it does, then stop. But do all of it with zero expectation for how it's supposed to turn out. Now, just that part right there. Act on your passion in every moment of every day. I tell people that when I bring up, like, what's your passion? Most people think vocationally. They think, oh, well, I like mowing lawns, or I like doing this, or I'm not talking about what's your passion that makes you money, or what's your passion I'm talking about your passion in every single second of every single day. The thing that when you have a choice between doing this and doing that, which one are you more passionate about? Because that's the one you should do. Now, I understand sometimes other things have to get done, but that doesn't mean you can't be passionate about those things too once you're done with the things you are currently passionate about. So follow your passion in every second of every day with zero expectation. So if you're passionate about creating a podcast, then create the podcast. But don't do it because you have this set idea that it's supposed to create millions of dollars or millions of followers or anything like that. Have no expectation for it. Just do it because you're passionate about it and let everything else fall into place. All right. So that's like topic number 1 in this thing I'm reading to you. Now, here's why that matters. Okay. You're made of 2 parts, and suspend disbelief for me for just a second. And if you want to correct me in the comments, correct me in the comments. If you want to preach at me or project onto me or whatever the thing that you feel like you need to do to make yourself feel better about what I'm about to say, do it. It's all part of the path anyway. Okay. But you're made of 2 parts, your physical mind, your higher mind. Your physical mind plans, analyzes, and navigates the present moment. That's the mind that we're using right now to perceive what I'm saying, to listen to me, to see me, all of the things, right? Your higher mind, though, sees the big picture, the timing, the synchronicities, the flow. You could compare your higher mind to like what we know as God or source, or I refer to it as my higher self. It's like the part of me that uses discernment, the part of me that feels things that I can't necessarily see. It's the part of me that, like at McDonald's one time, paid for somebody's meal because they were struggling to get the money together to pay for it. It's like this inner thing that says, hey, do this. Now, in my, of course, your physical mind in those kind of situations are like, no, why would I give them money? Or I can't afford that, or whatever the case is. But your higher mind knows differently. But when you try to make your physical mind do the higher mind's job, you exhaust yourself. You just wear yourself the fuck out. You overthink, you chase certainty, you force things, and you wonder why you're always tired or anxious, or you feel disconnected, or you have a headache. And it's because you're just working the physical mind to death, trying to analyze and figure everything out, instead of just shutting up, getting out of the way, and letting the higher mind guide you, lead you. And the truth is, your physical mind was never meant to know how things happen, only what's happening right now. How many of you have heard the present moment, the present moment, the present moment? Stay in the present moment. That's what the physical mind was meant to do, to stay in the present moment, see all the beautiful things around you, feel all the wonderful sensations, taste the wonderful food, smell the wonderful scents, unless you're around somebody who farts a lot, or, dogs. I've got 2 of those, and they don't always smell wonderful, but they're beautiful. I just said farts in my first podcast. Yep. This is mine. So the physical mind's job is to know what's happening right now, to be in the present moment. When you trust that partnership, life begins to move through you instead of you trying to push it into place. There's the shadow of force, the shadow of control. And they show up all over the place. So when you trust the partnership between your higher self and your physical self, your higher mind, your physical mind, again, life begins to move through you instead of you trying to force it into place. Now, this next part is about visualization. And I do guided meditations in my practice a lot. And the purpose of the visualization, it's not about controlling an outcome or just forcing something to happen. It's about feeling the state of your being that vision represents. The excitement, the passion, the love, And It's like for the past, I don't know, couple months as I'm thinking and contemplating how to put this podcast together and what I want to talk about and what I want to do, like I visualize me sitting in this chair right here with the camera in front of me, and it feels good. It's exciting. But more importantly, I visualize the best I can the reach, what it'll do for other people, and ultimately what it'll do for me too. Because guess what? Helping people feels freaking good. Especially, like I said earlier, when they have that moment, that epiphany of like, oh, wow, this is why I've been repeating this cycle over and over again. That is rewarding, and I freaking love it. So yes, this podcast is for me as well as anyone else who gains something from it. And that makes me feel good. And so the visualization, that's what it's about. If you can visualize it and feel good, you're doing it right. If you visualize it and feel bad, no, not good. Okay? And that's what I find that most of us are in, is that negative visualization state. And so it's like, especially, man, if you watch the news all the time, stop. It's the best advice I could ever give you. Just disconnect from what's going on like in the world or nation or whatever, because you can't do anything about it. And all you're doing is worrying about it all the time. And it's nothing but fear-based bullshit. So just stop and see what happens. Put all your attention in like knitting or freaking jogging or playing with your animals or spending time with your family or raising your kids instead of that crap, and see what happens. See how much better you feel. So the feeling that you feel when you visualize something good, something you're passionate about, something you want to create, something you want to do, that feeling is the signal that you send to your higher mind. So it's like, hey, higher mind, I'm in this present moment and I want to do this thing. I want to create this thing. I want to go to this thing. I want to feel this thing. And it feels really good. And I feel really passionate about it. So I need you to like make that happen for me. All right. And then the higher mind's like, all right, I got you. And so then the higher mind delivers experiences that match that frequency, even if they look nothing like what you pictured. How many times have you wanted to do something and you put so much effort into it, so much passion, so much love, so much all the things, and you get it, but you get it in a way that you couldn't have possibly imagined or possibly have created? That's like, it's been my life in the last 3 to 4 years, man. It's like, I have ideas of what I want and what I think it looks like, but because I'm open to receiving it in any way, shape, or form that it may present itself, it just comes and it's awesome and it feels good. So that goes back to the not having expectations for how it's supposed to be. Get rid of the word supposed to and just let it be. Now, your ceiling, everything that you can perceive with your physical mind, the ceiling is literally the floor of your higher mind. So you're like, everything, you can't see past that ceiling. It's up there. You're like, oh man, that's high. That would be awesome. And your higher mind's like, huh? Yeah, well, you ought to see up here. It's pretty freaking amazing. It's infinite. And so if you're only looking at how high your ceiling is, you have no idea what's out there. You have no idea how powerful what I'm telling you right now is. So let the image go, but hold the feeling close. Let the image of how it's supposed to be go, and hold the feeling, the passion, the joy. Hold that close. Because that's how creation flows through you. Now, nothing in life comes with built-in meaning. This part is going to sound a little nihilistic, but bear with me. Suspend disbelief for a second. Nothing in life comes with built-in meaning. Every situation is neutral until you decide what it means to you. Yes, I just said that life is meaningless, but that doesn't mean that you don't create meaning, because you do. That's the power that we've all been given. We get to define what life means. The meaning you choose determines the reality that you experience. So when something happens, how quick are you to automatically give it negative meaning? One example that really sticks out to me is I used to think that when bad things happened to me, it was because God was punishing me, or because God was disappointed in me. And that belief, that perception was taught to me. It was something I learned. And so every time something bad happened, that's the meaning I would give it. Oh, well, I guess I'm fucking up. I'm falling away. I'm a sinner. God's mad at me. And how do you think that meaning made me feel? It wasn't good. I'll tell you that. It was shame. And so years and years of that belief and feeling that led to a self-hatred that I didn't know I could climb out of. But I did. That goes back to that first counseling session that I told you about that made me want to become a therapist. And here I am. So nothing has meaning until you assign it. Think about the power of that statement alone. It's now when something bad happens, and it's hard to really cover all of that in just like however short this first episode's going to end up being, or long, if you're sticking with me. That statement in and of itself, the power of choosing the meaning that you give to things. When something bad, and I keep using air quotes because it's only bad because that's the meaning you give it. You give it a bad meaning. You label it bad. But when that thing that's uncomfortable happens, it doesn't have to be bad. And it only lasts as long as you resist it. The minute that you were like, you know what? This kind of sucks. It's uncomfortable, but what is it teaching me? What pattern is it showing me that I keep repeating over and over again? Why does this thing keep returning? Why do I keep getting in the same kind of relationships? Why do I keep having the same kind of fights with my wife? Why do I keep feeling like shit because I'm not spending time with my kids? Like, what meaning are you giving those things? Because if it's bad meaning, negative meaning, you're not doing yourself any favors. Even the worst things that you could possibly imagine happening can benefit you, can help you grow. But you have to see that. You have to look for it. Otherwise, you just become a victim. And you live in that victimhood, and that's a miserable existence. The meaning you choose determines the reality that you experience. So when something happens, it's not the event that matters, it's your response, how you respond to the event. So you decide whether it's a wall or a doorway. You decide whether it breaks you down or it wakes you up. And ultimately, you don't need the world to change before you do. I know all of us think that. Well, sometimes we're like, well, if my wife wasn't like that, I wouldn't have no problems. Bullshit. Well, if the government wasn't, bullshit. Stop pointing the fingers at everybody else and start looking within you and pointing the finger at yourself and asking yourself, what am I doing that's contributing to this over and over and over again? That's what shadow work is. That's what leads to freedom. So you change first in how you see, how you act, how you think, how you believe, how you respond, how you react. And the world eventually mirrors that back. What you put out is what you get back. 100%. There's no way, nothing you could ever tell me that's going to change my mind on that because I see it every single day. I put out my best. I put out love. I put out compassion. And I get all of those things back. All of it. Creation might appear infinite and complex, but the truth underneath it is simple. It's so simple. What you believe is what you perceive. All the stories that you let run wild in your head when something doesn't go the way you think it is, all of those stories, you're perceiving them because that's what you believe. What you feel, you attract. If you feel good, you attract good things. You feel like shit, guess what? You attract shit. And what you embody, you become. Now that word embody, that can be a foreign word for some people. But what you embody, like in order to be a podcaster, I have to embody a podcaster. I can't let my mind tell me, oh, you're going to suck at this and you're not going to do good and you're not going to have any people watching. I can't let those things make the decision for me. So I have to embody the thing that I want to be. So right now I'm embodying a podcaster. I embodied a therapist a long time ago. I embodied a Sacred Ember retreat facilitator. I embodied a damn good husband, a damn good father. Everything that I want to be, I embody it. And then I become it. And embodying is reflected by the words that come out of your mouth. The thoughts, the beliefs, the actions, the reactions, all of that is part of how you embody something. So right now, are you embodying the asshole? Are you embodying the scared little boy? Are you embodying the anti-Trumper, the anti-liberal, the anti-whatever it is? Why? How is that serving you? So ultimately, what I just read you, it's the physics of being human. It's simple, and it's powerful, and it's beautiful. And I promise you, if you let that soak in, you let it marinate, and you start practicing it, you're going to find a completely different version of yourself. And that version is going to be the most authentic version of yourself. Authenticity is the highest vibration that we as humans can possibly emit. But again, you have to get out of your own fucking way and let it happen. So that right there is is at the heart of everything that I teach, everything that I embody, everything that I believe. And inner alchemy isn't about forcing transformation. It's about uncovering who you already are underneath all of the fear, the pressure, the expectations, and the stories that you're outgrowing. If you're watching this podcast, you're outgrowing them. Something is keeping you here, especially I'm 40 minutes in now. If you're still watching this, you know that there's something here for you. And good, congratulations, follow that. But inner alchemy is about uncovering who you already are underneath the fear, the pressure, the expectations, and the stories you've outgrown. It's about learning how to trust your inner fire, your higher self, the higher mind, instead of trying to control everything with your mind. And it's about remembering that you are not broken. Not a single person in this world is broken. But they've embodied a broken person. And they believe they are broken. I'm here to prove them wrong. You've just been disconnected from the part of you that knows exactly how to lead you home. It's another one of Ram Dass's quotes that I love so much. We're all just walking each other home. It's freaking beautiful. That's what we're doing here. So what's coming next in the Inner Alchemy? I haven't landed on how many episodes I'm going to do or how often I'm going to do them or anything like that. Like I'm in flow. And so whatever presents itself is what I'm going to do because it feels good. But I will tell you this, in the episodes ahead, my intention is to talk about healing and identity, masculinity and femininity, relationships, shadow work, spirituality, embodiment, gene keys inspired contemplations, psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy. Like, I think that educating people on psychedelics is huge because there's tons and tons and tons of things out there that can hurt you, but there's also tons and tons of things out there that can help you. And I'm 41 years old, and my generation grew up seeing the fried egg. This is your brain. This is your brain on drugs with the fried egg and the DARE program and McGruff the crime dog and all the things. And as an adult, I've found that, yes, there are dangerous substances out there that can just destroy your life. But there are also a lot out there that can help your life. And education is important in that realm because there are unsafe and safe ways to do everything. But ultimately, we're going to talk about the art of becoming who you truly are, your authentic self. Some episodes will be raw truths, just like this one kind of was. I haven't shared a whole lot about me, but I intend to. Some will be deep dives, some will be conversations, and some will be stories. And I'm pretty sure you're going to see grown men cry. You're going to see hearts on display. Because the people that I want to invite onto this podcast are some of the most authentic people I know. And I want them to share that with the world just as I am. But all of the episodes will be honest, and all of them will be aimed at one thing: helping you transform your inner world so that your outer world finally matches. Hear that again. Transforming your inner world so that your outer world finally matches. What you put out comes back. So thank you all for being here for episode 1. Like I said, I had no idea how I was going to do this. And honestly, I just kind of sat down and rolled with it. And here we are. So thank you for listening with your heart, not just your ears. And just remember, you don't transform by force. You transform by remembering who you are, remembering who you truly are, remembering that there was once a fire that could possibly now just be ashes. But there's an ember in there. Find it, blow on it. And if you need help, that's what I do. Come on. So I'll see you on the next episode of the Inner Alchemy Podcast. And until then, just trust the ember inside you, baby. You got it. All right, y'all. Take care. Thanks for watching.